In August of 2007, 2K Games would announce their newest title, Bioshock, an FPS shooter set in the retro-futuristic underwater city known as Rapture. Now, almost 18 years later, Bioshock is often considered one of the greatest pieces of video game media ever made, due to its unique gameplay, captivating atmosphere, and deep thought-provoking narrative. So today, I wanted to take a look at Bioshock, to see if it truly was a timeless masterpiece, or if it gets lost in the sea of other shooters from the time. Bioshock begins with us being introduced with our protagonist named Jack, who is on a flight over the mid-Atlantic before it suddenly crashes, resulting in Jack being plunged into the murky ocean. Jack rises out of the wreckage, desperately searching for land, and luckily for Jack, a lighthouse stands before him. Once inside the lighthouse, Jack is greeted with a golden statue of a man looming over him. Under the statue, a banner hangs reading, "No gods or kings, only man." Below the statue hang 3 plaques reading Science, Industry, and Art, which represents the core of Rapture. In the middle of the room sits a submarine, and with Jack having no other way to contact civilization, decides to enter the deep. During Jack's descent, a introductory tape would begin to play from a man named Andrew Ryan, the visionary behind Rapture. Andrew Ryan explains that he wanted to make a safe space for mankind's greatest artists and visionaries due to increasingly oppressive acts by the world's governments. He also explains that Rapture would be free of social constraints, artists would no longer fear censorship, and scientists didn't have to follow any moral code. This resulted in Rapture evolving more quickly than any other city from the surface. During Ryan's speech, we get our first look at Rapture, a stunning bustling city full of neon signs, making the city really feel alive. Once inside the city, the first thing that we see is an innocent man being mauled to death by a splicer. Splicers are once Rapture's citizens, now driven mad by the use of a genetic material found in sea slugs known as Adam. During this encounter with the splicer, Jack would receive a call from a man named Atlas, a revolutionary fighting against Andrew Ryan's ideals. Jack, with the help of Atlas, would ward off the splicer, which would lead to Jack picking up his first weapon. The one and only melee weapon, the wrench, is easily one of the most important weapons, allowing you to hit enemies up close. Here we are also introduced to plasmids, special serums that with the help of Adam are able to rewrite a human's DNA and give them superpowers. Throughout the game, you can collect many different plasmids, however the first plasmid that you receive is Electro Bolt. The Electro Bolt allows Jack to shoot electricity from his fingertips, stunning any splicers hit by the charge. As you ascend up an elevator, Atlas will request you to go save his family as they are stuck in Rapture and Andrew Ryan is actively trying to stop them from escaping. Reaching the top of the elevator, we see a splicer cradling what seems to be a baby, however it gets revealed to be a revolver. The revolver is a 6-shot handgun that is extremely important for ranged combat early on in the game. The room that we enter next probably has some of the best visual storytelling that Bioshock is often praised for. Within the Kashmir restaurant, we learn that in New Year's of 1959, the Rapture Civil War came to a head, with splicers attacking innocent civilians. We are then introduced to the Big Daddies and Little Sisters. Little Sisters are once children who were tasked with harvesting and making Adam, which makes them extremely vulnerable to splicers who want more Adam. So, to help curb this issue, Andrew Ryan, along with Rapture scientists, made Big Daddies, massive hulking brutes that have a special bond with the Little Sisters. However, as we make our way to Neptune's bounty and make it to Atlas's family, Andrew Ryan cuts us off, suspecting us of being with the FBI and warning us that Rapture is not some sunken ship to explore. With Andrew Ryan cutting off our way to Neptune's bounty, Atlas tells us that we have to make a detour through the medical pavilion. Once inside the medical pavilion, we learn that we need a key from a man named Dr. Steinman. On the surface, Dr. Steinman was a very prolific plastic surgeon, resulting in Andrew Ryan personally inviting him to Rapture. However, with the discovery of Adam, Dr. Steinman would take his work too far, mutilating hundreds of Rapture citizens in the search to make someone truly beautiful. In the medical pavilion, we are also introduced to hacking. Hacking is something that you're going to do a lot, allowing you to get better deals from vending machines, open up safes, and have turrets and drones help you. In the medical pavilion, Jack also obtains 2 guns and 2 plasmids. First off, we have the Tommy gun, a submachine gun that riddles anything in its path with bullets. and my personal favorite weapon, the shotgun, which allows you to kill most enemies with one shot. For plasmids, we obtain Incinerate, a plasmid that allows you to set your enemies on fire, and Telekinesis, a plasmid that allows you to pick up and throw objects with your mind. This plasmid in Bioshock 1 is completely broken, killing most enemies when they're hit with anything. Once at the end of the medical pavilion, we confront Dr. Steinman, who we see kill one of his patients and then proceed to attack us. After defeating Dr. Steinman and getting his key, we see a scene of a Big Daddy getting thrown through a wall and a little sister being attacked by a splicer before a woman on a balcony kills the splicer. This is Dr. Bridget Tenenbaum, the creator of the Little Sisters, an action that she now deeply regrets. She begs Jack to save the Little Sisters and free them. However, Atlas encourages Jack to kill the Little Sisters, saying that he'll get more at them if he does so. This leaves Jack with a choice: save the Little Sisters and free them, or kill them and continue Rapture's violent downfall. Throughout the rest of the game, each level will have a certain amount of Big Daddies, which Jack will have to fight if he wants to free all the Little Sisters or harvest all of them. Once we make it past the opposing Big Daddy at the entrance of the medical pavilion, we are free to head into Neptune's bounty. Neptune's bounty was a port where Rapture would not only get fish, but also smuggle in items banned from Rapture. However, before we get into the level itself, I think it would be beneficial to explain who owns Neptune's bounty, a man named Frank Fontaine. Frank Fontaine was a criminal mastermind and con man who began his start by smuggling in contraband into Rapture. However, he would go on to create a company within Rapture known as Fontaine Futuristics. This resulted in a genetic arms race between Fontaine and Ryan to see who could make the most powerful or effective plasmid. This race would become increasingly more violent, resulting in the death of Frank Fontaine in a shootout with Ryan's men. Atlas instructs Jack to head over to Smugglers' hideout, where his family resides. However, a man named Peach Wilkins blocks Jack's path. In the past, Peach Wilkins was one of Fontaine's lead smugglers. However, since Fontaine's death, he's become paranoid due to believing Fontaine was still alive and out to get him. Peach requests Jack to take 3 pictures of spider splicers, a special form of splicers that have mutated to the point of being allowed to climb on walls and ceilings. In return, Peach will not only let Jack pass through, but also give Jack a unique weapon. Here, Jack receives the grenade launcher, a large cannon that completely blows away splicers. It is extremely fun to use, however it does come with a large reload time. During this time, Jack also gets the research camera that allows him to take pictures and research citizens of Rapture, which will give him damage bonuses and perks that will help him throughout his journey. Once Jack researches the splicers, Peach will let Jack through. However, before he lets him in, he requests Jack to leave all his weapons behind. Jack complies with Peach's request, however Peach, believing Jack is working for Fontaine, attacks him, resulting in Jack only being able to use his plasmids and his wrench. Once Jack defeats Peach, Jack heads to save Atlas's family. Entering Smugglers' hideout, the center of Fontaine's smuggling ring, we find Atlas desperately attempting to save his family, before Andrew Ryan ambushes the sub. Jack rushes down to help Atlas, however it's too late. Right in front of Jack's and Atlas's eyes, they watch the sub explode, killing Atlas's family. With the death of Atlas's family, Atlas tells us that he plans on avenging them, and to fall back into Arcadia. However, before we leave, Ryan speaks to us one more time, saying that we're more than just some agent, and possibly hinting at Jack being something more. Entering Arcadia, we are introduced to a lush garden made to grow trees and supply air to Rapture. Arcadia was made by a scientist named Julie Lanford, who had an extreme love for plants and had the help of funding from Andrew Ryan. However, issues would begin to arrive when Ryan would begin having Rapture's citizens pay to enter Arcadia, which Julie believed everyone should be able to enter for free. Once inside the garden, Ryan begins spraying toxic fumes, killing the trees within Arcadia. This is the most self-destructive thing that we've seen Ryan do. Since Jack entered Rapture, Ryan has been relentlessly hunting down Jack. However, now he is fully willing to suffocate the citizens of Rapture, including himself, just to get Jack. This results in Jack seeking out Julie Lanford, who would begin helping Jack find a cure for the trees. However, once Ryan finds out, he quickly kills her. However, once inside her office, we find a code to her safe, which contains the recipe to the cure for the trees. Also, within her office contains the unique weapon for this chapter known as the Chemical Thrower. The chemical thrower is a heavy weapon that allows Jack to spray napalm, which causes fire, liquid nitrogen, which freezes enemies, and liquid gel, which stuns them. The chemical thrower is one of my personal favorite weapons, however it can be quite rare to come across ammo for it. With Jack obtaining a list of ingredients that he needs to save Arcadia, he gets information from Atlas to go to the farmer's market to find the items. Once inside the farmer's market, Jack is tasked with finding 3 ingredients to make the Lazarus Vector. The 3 ingredients Jack needs are a chlorophyll solution that is often found on dead splicers, distilled water that is scattered around Worley Winery, and enzyme samples found in beehives in Silver Ring Apiary. Once Jack obtains the ingredients, he's able to head back to Arcadia, and after another ambush from Ryan's splicers, Jack is able to spread the vector throughout Arcadia, saving the trees and ending the lockdown. After lifting the lockdown, Jack receives a call from Atlas, informing him that to get to Ryan, they'll have to take a detour through Fort Frolic. Fort Frolic was Rapture's creative hub, containing art galleries, strip clubs, and casinos to allow Rapture's citizens to unwind. The location was ran by famed artist Sander Cohen, who is infamous within Rapture due to his often violent and twisted art pieces. However, due to Rapture's free and non-censorship rules, Sander Cohen could do really anything that he wanted. Once inside Fort Frolic, we are stopped by Sander Cohen, who cuts off access to Atlas on the radio and forces Jack to help him in order to leave. Sander Cohen explains that he needs Jack's help in order to finish his masterpiece, tasking Jack to go out and kill 4 of his past disciples and take pictures of them. During this time, Cohen also gives Jack the last unique weapon in the game, the crossbow. The crossbow is a ranged sniper-like weapon that is extremely effective from long range, however does quite a bit of damage up close. While Jack is hunting down Cohen's disciples, we come across one of the most important locations in the story of Bioshock, the exotic dancing spot known as Eve's Garden. Here we are introduced to the dancer named Jasmine Jolene, who became entangled with Andrew Ryan, leading to her becoming pregnant with his child. With neither of them wanting to keep the child, Jasmine was contacted by Frank Fontaine, who bought the unborn child. And once Ryan found out that Jasmine had sold his child to a sworn enemy, he brutally beat her and killed her. Me explaining this right now might not make a lot of sense, however in the future it will be extremely important. Once we hunt down Cohen's disciples and take pictures of their corpses, we are able to hand them over to Cohen, who will finally appear in front of Jack. Here, you are given the option to kill Cohen, however it has no impact on the story other than that you can see him later on in the game in the apartments. Once we are freed from Cohen, we finally get back in touch with Atlas, who instructs Jack that Ryan is hiding out in his office in Hephaestus. Entering Hephaestus, we are introduced to the core of Rapture. Created by Andrew Ryan, the Hephaestus core redirects heat from the Earth's core and gives its energy to Rapture. However, since the Rapture Civil War, it has since fallen into disrepair. Inside the factory, we learn Ryan has locked himself in his office, and Jack has no other way in. In the central building, we find Rapture's citizens dead and pinned up to the walls, with Ryan calling them worms, showing how violent and paranoid he has become. Deeper into the core, we find out that one of Ryan's past employees had turned on him, and before his death, he began building a bomb that could overload Rapture's core, which could let Jack inside of Ryan's office. And now, it is up to Jack to find the rest of the materials to finish the bomb. Scattered around, we can find 2 ionic gel canisters, a charge of nitroglycerin, and 4 R34 wire clusters found on Big Daddies. And once Jack overloads the core, Andrew Ryan's office is finally open. Entering Ryan's office, he greets us with a massive TV version of his face, saying that even if Jack kills him, he'll never give over his city, before setting Rapture's core to self-destruct. With Ryan locking the doors to his office, Jack has to sneak through a vent, which causes him to accidentally find a bulletin board with the words "Would you kindly" sketched into it, which throughout the game is a phrase often used by Atlas. In the next room, Jack comes face to face with Ryan, who understands why the true reason Jack is in Rapture. That baby that was sold to Fontaine by Jasmine Jolene, that was Jack, and after years of testing and torture, Jack was conditioned to do whatever he was told as long as the words "Would you kindly" were spoken. Ryan proves this by instructing Jack with the words "Would you kindly" to kill him, which results in Jack beating him to death with his own golf club. And after killing Ryan and stopping the self-destruct, Jack gets his last call from Atlas. Here, Atlas reveals himself to be Frank Fontaine, who after faking his death would begin convincing Rapture citizens to turn on Ryan through Atlas. And Jack, who was conditioned by Fontaine and a scientist, was just a pawn in Fontaine's game to get a hold of Rapture. And now that Jack has served his purpose, he is no longer useful to Fontaine, who ambushes him with security drones. However, luckily for Jack, one of Tenenbaum's little sisters leads him to a vent, which causes Jack to fall into Tenenbaum's safe house. Waking up in Tenenbaum's safe house, we learn that she did a procedure on Jack that freed him from the mental conditioning by Fontaine. Within the safe house contains a group of freed little sisters which have different interactions for Jack depending on if you've been saving them or harvesting them. If you save them, then they'll comment on how they look up to you, and if you harvest them, then they'll tell others to stay away from you. This is an extremely small detail, however it's showing that Jack is leaving an impact and his choices matter. Exiting the safe house, we receive a call from Fontaine, who after learning that his mind games no longer work on Jack, reveals another trick up his sleeve. Fontaine reveals Code Yellow, which allows him to tell Jack's heart to stop beating for a short amount of time. So Jack has to venture through Olympus Heights, a once popular apartment district reserved for Rapture's fanciest citizens, to find an experimental sample to fully break Fontaine's control. Venturing through Olympus Heights, Jack eventually comes across Fontaine's apartment, which has been relatively unaffected by the Civil War going on outside. Within the apartment, Jack finds a special serum that helps him break Fontaine's control, however leaves Jack with the side effect of getting a random plasmid every couple of minutes. This results in Jack having to go to Apollo Square and seek out Dr. Suchong's office to regain his powers. Apollo Square was once a residential area for Rapture's lower class, however it was hit hardest by the Rapture Civil War. Within the square we find Atlas's hideout, where Fontaine would plan his attacks on Ryan, usually inducting Rapture's lower class to be a part of his army. Within the Fallen City, Jack finds Suchong's free medical clinic. Now, throughout this video I haven't really mentioned Suchong, however his role in the story of Bioshock was extremely important. Not only did Suchong help with the experiment with Jack, but he helped create the Little Sisters and Big Daddies, and we learned that he met his end to a Big Daddy after hitting a Little Sister. Once inside his office, we find the cure, stopping the rapid plasmid changing, and now Jack chases Fontaine to Point Prometheus. Point Prometheus was once a lab facility made for the purpose to create and cultivate little sisters and big daddies. Entering the facility, Jack chases Fontaine, which results in Fontaine blocking himself off from Jack. Fontaine also blocks off all the facility doors, only allowing little sisters through, so Jack has to become a Big Daddy. Scattered around the facility, Jack finds a Big Daddy helmet that blocks most of your vision, Big Daddy armor which gives damage resistance, and gloves and boots. Jack also has to modify his vocal cords to sound like a Big Daddy and has to get pheromones to smell like one. Once Jack collects these components, Jack is able to get a little sister and lead her through the Proving Grounds, a small museum based around the discoveries found in Point Prometheus. Throughout the Proving Grounds, Jack has to protect a little sister and let her collect Atom from dead splicers. And after collecting enough Atom, the little sister gifts Jack her Atom syringe, and with some encouragement from Tenenbaum, Jack now takes the elevator to go face Fontaine. Rising up the elevator, Jack receives his last call from Fontaine, who says Jack was the closest thing to a son to him, and that's why killing him is gonna hurt. Exiting the elevator, we see Fontaine, a massive hulking beast that has taken splicing to another level. This is Bioshock's big final boss. Fontaine will charge at you and shoot different elemental projectiles at Jack. However, if you manage to lower his health enough, then he can drain some of his Atom, which will allow the little sisters to attack and finish off Fontaine. If you manage to save all the little sisters, then Jack is able to give them a life, sending them to the surface and watching them grow up, so he could finally have a real family. At the beginning of the video, I asked myself one question: does Bioshock deserve its title as one of the best video games of all time? And now after reviewing the game and replaying it, I think I know the answer. Bioshock has an excellent story that makes the player intrigued. The twist with Atlas, the one person that was nice to you once inside Rapture, being a con, is still shocking to this day. The visual storytelling of Rapture is crafted in such a way that makes it feel like Rapture was once a real living city. The plasmids are extremely unique and give variety to gameplay that most first-person shooters from the time did not have. So my conclusion about Bioshock is that it is a beautiful, well-crafted art piece that still holds up years later. Thank you all for watching. My name is InvaderBryce, and if you like content like this, then hit the subscribe and like. It really helps out the channel and shows what content you like to see. Make sure to leave a comment below about your favorite part of Bioshock, or even other games that I should take a look at. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!